Welcome back to Awakening Reformation, where Reformation awakens now. My name is Grant, and tonight I'm joined by the weaker vessel.
Hey guys.
Tonight, guys, is a sad night.
It's not sad.
But our friends are sick.
Well, that part's sad.
George is sick, and Clay is kind of feeling under the weather too. And we actually have some inclement weather here in the great state of North Carolina.
Snow day.
It is snowing, everybody, in the south.
We have like 3 inches already.
As soon as flurries started coming down, the kids were freaking out.
They were outside all about it.
Just running around. The snow hadn't even accumulated, but just because it was falling, they were ecstatic.
The kids and the kittens, they're all outside, just acting like a bunch of wild animals.
Erica is originally from the north, so the kids know what true snowstorms are all about and love it. So anytime we get a little bit down here in the south, they freak out and have a great time. Hopefully it's covered enough in the morning and we can go sledding down our little hill.
With pizza pans.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Make do with what you got. The kids love it though.
I feel like this is a weird dynamic.
Guys, I know things are gonna be a little interesting tonight. All you out there listening, it's just gonna be me and Erica.
We tried, people. We really tried.
We really did. Technology was against us, and I don't know if that's the weather or not, but we tried.
Technology, schedules, illnesses. It's just, this is what you get this week. Sorry, guys.
It's been busy this new year. So that is why tonight, me and Erica will be tackling our topic tonight. If you want to learn more about Awakening Reformation Podcast, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @AwakenReformPod. You can also email us at awakeningreformation@gmail.com. Please get on iTunes if you're listening on iTunes and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you, and that would help us reach more people with the content of the podcast. Also, with social media, comment, like, and share. We love to interact with all of you on there. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. If you have any questions, if we left you yelling at your speakers or something because we weren't addressing a question, please feel free to email us. Comment. We'd love to engage with you and interact with you.
We've had some good interactions on social media lately. I feel like Instagram's been hot. People have been like messaging us and responding, and super fun. We like it.
Yeah, it's really great.
It's really great.
I love hearing from people who are listening. So, yeah, we want to shout out on Instagram, Kelly Smith KK commented. Awesome to hear from her. And then we got a message from, it says Michaela Hamby.
So thanks, Michaela.
Thanks for the conversation and listening in. We really appreciate it. On the Facebook page, we had new likes from Rob Greer, Philip Mitchell, Kelly Smith again, Richard Bodo, which is our other co-host Clay's father, Aaron Brewer, Ken Godwin. Those are our new likes on our page. Thank you guys for liking the page, liking the content, giving us a listen, and hopefully it's beneficial and edifying to you.
If you think you guys have suggestions or things that you would do better, we're open for suggestions.
Or any topic that you would like us to cover.
We're just a bunch of bums sitting in a closet, so...
This is Studio VB, not just a closet.
I'm literally wearing a bathrobe right now.
That's the glory of radio. Or just audio.
That's the glory of...
You can do it anywhere wearing whatever, and...
That's true, no one would have ever known.
Entertainment and...
I was just kidding, I'm not wearing a bathrobe.
It's all a facade.
You can believe what you want to believe.
But seriously, you got any topic about church, theology, culture, you would want us to cover it? Hit us up. Let us know. We'll cover it.
What's our topic tonight? We had a big one, didn't we?
For tonight?
Yeah.
We do have a big topic.
Clay abandoned us.
I know.
Way to go, Clay.
Thanks a lot, Clay, for abandoning us on this big topic. So tonight we're going to talk about biblical sexuality. We know that no feathers will be ruffled. Nobody will be offended.
We are going to nail this one.
We will answer every question that you're thinking right now, cover every nuance,
You can do that in 40 minutes.
Yeah. So, what does the Bible say about sexuality? Or why don't we go a step further? So maybe we should start with the origins of sexuality?
No, like legit, that's where you start, in the beginning, like in Genesis.
Sounds like a great place to start.
It sounds like what you were about to say.
When you talk about any theological topic, it's always good to go to the beginning and to start with the Creator, God. So we're going to go back to the beginning to see the author of sexuality and to see the origins of sexuality. Where do we find the origins of sexuality?
Genesis.
Is that the beginning?
Y'all, this is going to be a weird episode. Buckle up.
Me and Eric are used to having to mess with George and Clay, not each other. In Genesis chapter 2, everyone is probably somewhat familiar with God creating Adam and Eve and bringing them together in the first marriage. In Genesis chapter 2.
Actually, I think it goes back further than that.
Do tell.
Genesis 1:27 is probably where I would start.
Genesis 1:27 says, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them." So why do you think this is the beginning of...
Well, because that's the first place where it talks about God creating man and woman. And if you even go back up to verse 26, it says, "Then God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness." So he's clearly creating male and female. We talked about this before in our complementarian episode a little bit. But he's clearly creating them different and distinct and to be like a mirrored image of the Trinity, the triune God.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to go back and say sexuality isn't a mistake. It's not like if you get XY chromosomes, then you get XY chromosomes. It's just the luck of the draw, or, that's not how it works.
Just saying there is purpose behind it.
God has a very distinct reason for giving you the chromosomes he gave you. It's not just random, and you can't just decide what you want to be. There's a reason he created you with a gender and a sexuality, because it reflects him in a way that's very intentional.
It reflects his being.
Mm-hmm.
It reflects his character.
Right. So that would be where I would go back and say sexuality is intentional and it was God's design. So
then we see that there are two different kinds of human.
Mm-hmm. I mean, God could have just made Adam a buddy, but he didn't. He made him a wife. He made him a female. There was intentionality there.
Right. And God even said, and this goes back to tying in with his character and his being of being triune, the man being alone, he said, was not good.
Mm-hmm.
And now that there's plurality, God said now it was very good.
Right. And why do you think that is? Do you think it's because it more holistically puts God's image, God's...
Yeah, because now it glorifies God.
Yeah, triune self on display in a way that man just couldn't by himself.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, because all three persons in the Trinity relate to each other and function together, and so man being alone, functioning by himself, is not a good display of the, multiplicity in the Godhead. So now male and female reflect God's image more fully. So it glorifies God that there is more than one.
So that's, I think, a key term right there, too. It gives God glory to design sexuality. There's something distinct about sexuality that gives God glory. It's not like a shameful thing. It wasn't like a mistake. It wasn't just something dirty that had to be done. Like, it was intentional, it was designed, and it gives God glory.
And that's why to degrade those distinct differences is to degrade God's own image, and
you're stripping something away, some reflection away from how God wants to display himself, and you're saying it's unimportant that God would portray himself in that manner.
Yeah.
It's not necessary for God to be like multifaceted.
So then what happened?
Well, then we all know what happened. Then sin happened.
Well, I mean, before that even. I'm talking Genesis 2. God makes male and female in his own image, and then he brings them together. He brings the woman to the man. Adam writes a song. He is artistically motivated. His words, "This at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man," is a Hebrew form of poetry. And then God marries them. "Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and fast to his wife." So marital union right there. "And they shall become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed." So they were married. They consummated their marriage and became one flesh.
Mm-hmm.
And being in the sinless state that they were not ashamed. So we even see this comes after the command to be fruitful and multiply.
Mm-hmm. Fill the earth and subdue it.
So within these distinct between these two distinct genders, God brings them together and has, obviously we already talked about glorifying his being,
mm-hmm.
but also now it's for procreation. There's a purpose there.
Yep.
But then there's even a further meaning of the consummation of marriage and sex too. So what is the purpose of even sexuality in that way?
I don't know what your question is, so...
What's the purpose of sex? I think...
Good thing George isn't here right now.
I know. I think the Bible clearly states that the union and the becoming one flesh in a marriage through sexual consummation is a picture of Jesus in the church, and we're told that in Ephesians 5.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is the bridegroom, the church is the bride, and we are constantly talked about being unified with Christ in his death, burial, and resurrection. The Spirit indwelling us, all of these kind of union and becoming one. Not that we become a part of the Godhead, right? That's like pantheism.
Yeah, you aren't God.
Yeah, you don't become God or anything, but the mantra throughout the whole Bible is God.
Mantra might be a bad term.
The whole
refrain.
The whole refrain throughout the Bible is God saying, "I will be your God and you will be my people." And God even calls himself the husband of
mm-hmm.
Israel. And so there's this language of love and covenant and commitment to a bride. And then that union is part of that love and commitment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've kind of seen it was God's design. God is the one who kind of puts limits on it. He's the one that makes marriage. He's the one that makes gender. It's all by his design. It's intentional. He's got a plan. There's a purpose in it. We've established that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is our biblical basis for sexuality. Why has sin corrupted sexuality so badly? Because we see things like porn, and we see things like adulterous affairs, fornication, immodesty. I mean, just all different types of sexual immorality. And we would say, well, that's the result of sin. Being reformed, we believe that sin corrupted not just, our spiritual side of things, but our physical side of things. Just every aspect of the human, our mind, our spiritual part, our soul, whatever you want to call it, our bodies, everything about us is broken and fractured in the fall.
Every part of our being has been affected by sin.
There's not like it's just our bodies that were affected and that's why we get sick. It's everything. It's our minds. Our minds don't think the way they ought to think, and our bodies don't function in a way they ought to function. Everything has been tainted by sin. Our desire